Welcome and thank you for joining me for another session of Jaco Nel's Corner. This week I've got Emile from Rensburg joining me. Emile is the head of investment and portfolio managers within ABSA. He's been with ABSA for the last 10 years and he'll be joining me to answer some questions and share with you the necessary information that I think can be useful to you as a client. Emile, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's always interesting hearing your views. Emile, can you please just give the clients in your own words an overview of what is looked at and what do we discuss when we analyze these funds from an investment perspective?
Sure, I'll be happy to do that. So the primary function of these committees is to ensure that the client always gets the best outcome. So for instance, when we look at the income portfolio that we have, we will look at the managers that we have underlying that income portfolio. We will analyze their performance. We will analyze their behavior relative to their peers. And what we will do then is to see whether we have the optimal combination of managers with the optimal level of risk for what we're trying to achieve. And if there's any issues, we would then adjust the portfolio. We would also look at things like credit exposure, which is an important element in any income fund. And if there's any concerns around that, we will also make adjustments to the portfolio based on that. When it comes to the equity exposure and the more long-term exposure, very similar process, but their credit is not necessarily an issue. You're looking more at the performance of the managers and whether they are doing what we thought they would be doing, whether they're doing it consistently, and whether they keep up with their peers. We are not that concerned about having the best performing managers, to be honest. What we want is managers that can consistently perform well. That is much more of an indication that the guy has real skill than the fact that he has the best performance in a particular year. And then on the offshore side, it's a similar process. We look at the offshore funds, we look at what we think is going to happen in the world, and then determine how much exposure we want to what region and to what managers and to what style of investment. We've got different styles of investment, value, growth, momentum, and we try and fit all of them into a balanced portfolio.
Thanks, Emile. Then, based on what you've just mentioned there, if one should look at the current market views, what is the current situation and what's the view when it comes to asset classes, specifically cash, equities, and offshore?
That's a very good question. So I would summarize it in the following way. We're uncertain at the moment, but we're uncertain about what we're uncertain about. I know that sounds terrible, but the world in general, South Africa, but also the rest of the world, is in a really strange place. In South Africa, we have the looming election, and then we have persistently high interest rates and a struggling economy. Now, those things don't make for a very good investment environment if you look at longer term risk assets. And internationally, same thing applies. You know, there's lots of political turmoil. There's lots of elections in lots of big countries that have an impact on the world economy and on the way markets behave. So I would say most people are a little bit uncertain at this stage. Fixed income, especially in South Africa, is therefore still a really good investment. But as interest rates start easing, you would see us rotating more aggressively into longer term assets. At the moment, our positioning in all the portfolios is really conservative, and we're looking to protect downside and manage risk more than trying to outperform. It's better to have a safe portfolio than to have a portfolio that does extremely well but has a lot of risk in it.
I do understand it on these bases, just to share with the clients, to make sure that by us positioning ourselves quite conservatively, we are in a position to say, because things is currently very volatile and uncertain out there, by the position that we've taken, we are in a position to jump and to position ourselves with anything that the market can throw our way.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. The thing with investments and risk is, what a lot of people don't necessarily always remember, is that negative compounding is the biggest enemy of any investment. And why do I say that? If you lose 20% in a portfolio, you need 25% return to get back to where you were before you lost it. So protecting the downside is way more important than trying to capture upside. It also allows you to, when the market turns, be more aggressive in your approach to taking more risk.
Then, with this being said as well, ABSA's current position when it comes to the stance that we're taking, the market position that we're taking. Where would you say Absa is as an offering compared to our competitors?
That's a good question as well. Objectively, I think we have a really strong offering. It's very difficult, to be honest, to differentiate yourself in the investment market from other players, because we all have access to the same tools, the same shares, the same markets, etc. So how you differentiate yourself is in how you manage those portfolios and how you manage the risk in those portfolios. We have an added advantage at Absa because we're a bank. We also have the ability to do protection on portfolios and to do some other unique stuff that a normal investment manager or advisor cannot offer you.
Then, Emil, the last thing I'm going to close off with is to say one of the talking points, or one of the big things that has happened over the last few months, was to say Absa's transaction with Glacier. Most of the clients are seeing Glacier all over the statements and the logo coming up with reporting. Can you maybe, or you were involved with that transaction quite intensively, can you just share with the clients exactly what does that transaction mean to them and what is the impacts?
Yeah, it was 2.5 years of my life, and I think it's quite exciting actually. So essentially we sold our investment platform to Glacier, who's part of the Sanlam Group, and what happens now is that you will have a customized portfolio platform, white labeled, which means that the branding is Absa, the red, but that you get access to all of the development and enhancements that Glacier make to the platform. Now, what they are doing at the moment is they have the biggest investment platform in the country, and they're spending a lot of money to enhance it, to bring you more features, to make it more efficient, to create more access to more investment products right across the globe. Very soon, for instance, on the Absa version of that platform, you will be able to do your direct offshore investments as well, which you haven't ever been able to do on AIMS. So there's really exciting things in the pipeline from that perspective, and we think that the partnership will be very successful, and that what you experience from a client perspective in terms of service should also with time improve and create a more enhanced experience.
Am I right by saying, so purely from a client's view, the main thing that is changing here is to say that Glacier is a support structure when it comes to the administration side to Absa, and there shouldn't be any changes for the client when it comes to the day-to-day investment on a big basis?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So your advisor stays the same, the relationship with Absa stays the same, the only difference being that the investment platform is now Glacier, but branded for Absa and managed specifically for Absa on a ring-fenced basis. So Absa clients are ring-fenced, they are protected from a data perspective, they still experience the red of Absa, but the technology infrastructure is now the Glacier technology infrastructure, and as I said, that is quite exciting because there's lots of enhancements and improvements over what we had as the AIMS platform.
Emil, thank you for giving clarity on that. I'm sure the clients will find that quite comforting to know exactly what the Glacier means within their portfolio going forward. And then from our side, I just want to thank the clients for joining us again. I hope you guys find the information useful as always, and I will be in contact next month to share with you some more information.